Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Hey friend, welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, and this episode is going to let you in on some of my behind the scenes struggles and the lessons that I am learning along the way. I feel very strongly that our community here inside of the Spiral Up podcast needs to be one of authenticity, of vulnerability, and of moving forward. And in order for us to be able to do that, I got to show up the way that I need to show up sometimes too. Let you guys know that you're not in this journey alone, that we don't always have to have all of our shit together when we are putting ourselves in front of other people, right? Sometimes the greatest bonds are created when we're just real people, all right? So I will never, ever, ever keep you in my mud and messy, right? I will always bring you guys along the journey and then to the hopeful end. And gosh, the hopeful end is continuing to unfold, but it's already looking amazing because God has revealed some really great lessons, some insights into my life because of this experience. All right. So here's the scoop. I had decided that God was really driving me towards doing more public speaking. And I really felt that strong pull at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. And so I wanted to find ways to become even more efficient in the way that I run my business so that I could free up the time that I have, be able to serve people at the maximum level, and be able to create a little bit more flexibility in my schedule so that if I want to travel and do more speaking, then that was going to be possible, right? So I enlisted some help from various people, some of the experts that I have inside of my Spiral Up program. And man, did I get a chance to work with some really, really freaking amazing people, right? The thing that's so funny is that some of the resources and solutions, I guess, that I chose to start way back at the beginning of this year in January, I have not been able to see the fullest expression of what I thought I should see by now, my expectations, right? And I get into this like little, I don't know, frustration point, I guess, when I realized that here we are, like school's about to start. I feel like I should be along further than this by now, that, here we are going to be diving into the last part of third quarter and into fourth quarter. And I'm like, my gosh, like I haven't even started to apply for speaking events. I haven't even, submitted my TED Talk application. I haven't even done these things. And it's like, why? Right. And I think that's so fascinating is that I'm getting another coaching certification right now that's all about releasing subconscious blocks, right? Because I just love that stuff so much and I wanted to have more resources on that. And one of the things I've learned in this program, an upset is really anything that is outside of ourselves that we have no control over that has essentially not met our expectations. So it's a person, a place, or a thing that we thought it was going to be a certain way, behave a certain way, turn out a certain way, treat us a certain way, and it doesn't. And then it causes an upset or an exaggerated, charged emotional response, right? And we feel discouraged and frustrated and angry and mad and sad and all the things. And that can really impact our focus. It can impact, what we have going on in our lives. And I was like, okay, I am obviously having this expectation that hasn't been met yet. And I'm frustrated and I feel like it's outside of my control. My schedule has been, really busy, lots of travel this summer. the person and people that I'm working with, they have their own lives too, right? So just because I'm available on a Friday night doesn't mean they are. So it's just been this like really interesting aha of feeling like I am not in control and that my expectations aren't being met. And started to just get frustrated, right? Like, oh my gosh, how many of you guys have felt this way? Like, I thought that I'd be further along than by now. I thought that this should be here, or this should have happened, or, I should have this, right? And I was honestly, I was really frustrated. And I called my client experience director, Jamie. She's like my right-hand person in my business. She's amazing. And I'm like, girlfriend, can I just vent for a second? Like, I just need to get this off my chest. And she's so great. She's listening and she gives me some encouragement, which is why she's so amazing too. She's like, Lachelle, like, do you realize that you have this, and this is what you've accomplished? And it's like, okay, yes, sometimes we need people outside of ourselves to give us some perspective shifts. And I was thinking about it and really realizing that God is the part of this equation that led me to execute some of these new strategies. And it was God who led me to the people who are going to help me do it. And I have to trust his timing. And when I think about it, do I have the product or the outcome or the end result that I thought I would by now? No, because I'm still building it. I'm still refining it. I haven't published anything yet. Like, this has been a very long process. I thought I would have like out in the world by now, and it's not. But what is so freaking amazing when I step back and look at it is that if it wasn't for this process, I would not have completely changed up and improved my entire marketing strategy. And really recognizing that I have been in the friend inspiration zone too much and not really highlighting my expertise. And so that was birthed out of this process, right? I also realized that I have been seeing these really consistent struggles in every single one of my clients. And if I look back, thousands of conversations I've had with people that I've led, people that I've coached, people that have been on my team in network marketing in the past, there's 7 key things that have been holding people back. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, why not incorporate that into what I'm already doing? And so I decided that I was going to build these beautiful modules that are bite-sized, and they're between 5 and 20 minutes long with workbooks attached to them to help people get over those 7 things so that you can have sustainable lifelong change. That once we address and heal and fix these 7 things, then now you can apply any strategy and it's going to work. And it's like, I feel so strongly in this that I'm like, I can't wait for people to execute it. So my clients now have access to these 7 modules, and I'm getting messages from them like, oh my gosh, Lachelle, I have shivers. Like, this literally is exactly what I need to hear. Or, oh my gosh, I thought I knew this before, but wow, like, it's really, really making sense. And this is going to change everything. And I think about that. I'm like, okay, if I hadn't been in this process to create this thing that I'm so-called frustrated because I haven't gotten to the end result yet, I wouldn't have birthed that. I wouldn't have beefed up, amplified, made better my marketing strategy. I wouldn't be able to then teach my clients how to do that. I wouldn't have my amazing modules that are now the foundation of my programs, because I get a chance to have people learn this stuff so that when we get a chance to meet, it's asking questions, it's getting to the root of their sabotage, it's getting things much faster because I'm not having to teach them these things. I'm allowing them to be able to work on some of this stuff in between our sessions, and they are getting further faster. And it's like, okay, all right. So I really just have to trust. I have to trust the process. I have to trust that sometimes God will take us down a path and we feel like, oh my gosh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, or I thought I'd be further along than now. But it's always, guys, this or something better. That's manifestation. It's he will give us what we want or something better. And he knew that something better was my marketing strategy improving. He knew that something better was really making the most amazing program that I've ever seen. And I'm not trying to be, I'm giving him all the credit for this. Like, he created this through me, right? that wouldn't have happened. So he knew what better was. He knew that in order for me to birth these things, I had to be able to trust him. I had to be able to trust the experts that he was leading me to. I had to be able to trust the process. And it's like, oh my gosh, just because it's not meeting my expectations doesn't mean that my expectations haven't already been blown. Like that they're already like blowing my socks off, right? And so I'm going to challenge you guys. That's lesson number 1 is I want you to look at your life. I want you to think about what expectations do you have where you thought something would be better than it is right now. And then I want you to ask yourself, how is my life better because of this, because I made this decision? What blessings, what lessons, what people have been brought into my life? What confidence have I gained? What insight have I gained? What products have been birthed outside of this, in addition to this? And really allow yourself to marvel in trusting the process that he will always give us this or something better. And sometimes it doesn't look the same as what we think, but you have to be able to look for the ways that he has actually made it even better than what you could have imagined. Okay, so that's lesson number 1. Lesson number 2 is that I really realized in this journey that I had a belief that in order for me to succeed, I had to have 100% focus on one thing and then allow everything else to like fall apart. And then once I like am done with the thing, then I'll pick the next thing up. And I realized that it was a belief that I had. And I teach my clients something called a but, which is a belief underestimating truth. So my belief was, in order to be successful, I had to be able to give 100% focus to something and neglect essentially everything else. And that was the right way to do it. And that was my belief. Now, is that truth? Do people find ways to manage multiple things at once all the time? Yes. And so realizing that I had a belief that was underestimating truth, that was keeping me from my best. So what was happening was every single moment that I had free, that I wasn't traveling or wasn't serving my clients or wasn't with my family, I was working on this one project, right? Which meant that all of the other things that I would necessarily be doing at this time were being put on the back burner. And I realized that has been a pattern that I've had my whole life, even from, I think back to graduate school and going to anesthesia school for my master's and then my doctorate. If I had an exam, I would put everything else outside of my focus and I would study for that one exam. My house was a mess, like, neglecting my husband, all the things. I would get through that exam and then I would pick up, okay, well, when's the next exam? What is the next exam? What is the next focus that I have to have? And then I wondered why I felt disorganized or why I felt like things around me were like falling apart, right? And then I had to think back like, oh my gosh, the times in my life where I was really good at balancing different things and allowing a priority, right? So like maybe I will prioritize like a couple of hours a day on something or one day a week on something, but then allow myself to work on other things. I've been able to get more done. I still have the priority. I still have the thing that I really want to focus on in mind, but I'm allowing myself permission to kind of keep up with the rest. And so I had to acknowledge the fact that my decisions have really been making me feel scattered. They've been making me feel like everything is falling apart and I want my life to feel back in order, which is why I wanted this stupid project done, right? But guess who has the control of that? Me. I have the control of whether or not I choose to focus on this and find time to be able to do the other things as well. Or if I want to continue to just focus my time on this and everything else being neglected, then I get to live with those consequences. That's a law of cause and effect. I have the circumstances of my decisions day in and day out. And I was finding that my office was a mess and different things that I wanted to do were a mess. And it was because I was neglecting them. And it was because of that neglect that I felt so frustrated with the fact that this project wasn't far along as I wanted it to. And so I'm going to encourage all of us, and I'm going to include you and me in this, that let's, give ourselves that permission to find a little bit more balance, to be able to identify the beliefs that have been playing like puppet strings in our lives and have a common thread to many of the frustrations that we have. And how can we recognize that belief, recognize that it's probably underestimating truth, and then what new truth and what new belief do I want to adopt in place of it, right? And so I was like, okay, like, yes, I want to get this project done. This is my aha, like, yes, I want to get this project done. But the longer that I focus on it without, giving other things in my life attention, the more frustrated I'm going to get because of the process and the time that it's taking. And so I get to choose that. So that means that, you know what, this project isn't done. And again, I wanted this done because I felt like once this was done, then I'd be able to have the weight off of me for when I'm gonna, do more speaking and stuff. It's like when this is done, then everything else is gonna happen. And it's interesting because I teach people that, right? Like, what's your linchpin? Like, what is the one thing you could do that's gonna affect everything else? But we also must trust God in this, and we also must listen to him. And he really did reveal to me in this lesson that, Michelle, that's amazing. And it is the thing that is going to change everything. It is the thing that's going to free up more time. It is the thing that's going to allow for you to help more people and to serve them better and to be able to speak, which is where I'm leading you. But I also need you to trust me that I will help you get everything else done too. The things that are most important too, right? And so I was like, okay, all right. So I get to apply for speaking engagements and dedicate time each week or each day to work on this main project and move it forward, right? I get to, if I decide that I want to do a live launch, and I've been putting those off for the last several months, I get to, like, it's my choice, and everything is going to be okay, right? And so I wanted to help you guys know that if you get stuck in an all or nothing, black or white, right or wrong thinking, me too. But it's just a matter of recognizing, right, that the way this is going is not working for me, and I need to switch the way that I'm thinking about this. And I got to tell you, I'm 100% lighter. I feel like I have more fun in my life again because I let go of all the pressure of just focusing on this one thing, because it was driving me crazy because I wasn't getting as far along as I wanted to. All right, the last thing that I wanted to talk about when it comes to this, like, aha that I had around this project, is that God has had me all along. So I have told you, right, that, of course, when I looked back, like, there were some huge, huge, huge wins that were happening because I learned to trust him. But I think that one of the things that I was getting anxious about was that this project took me away from doing things that I would normally do, like a live launch, every other month, right? And for those of you guys who've done live launches, you know that they're exhausting. Like, they are exhausting. They work, they give you a big cash flow, and they get people, signed up for your stuff, but they're a lot of work. And I had decided essentially to not focus on live launches because this new project is going to take the place of the need to have to do all of them. So I'm like, okay, in my mind, like, if I just get this done, then I don't have to do these. And so I wasn't, right? And then I was like, oh my gosh, like, realizing that I have more clients in my program than I've ever had before, and I haven't live launched. And it's like, again, don't hear me wrong, because live launching is important, and I teach people how to live launch. My point that I'm making here, though, is that I had a belief that there was only one way up until now to bring clients in that was consistent with my normal process, where in fact, new clients were coming in from a completely different avenue, which happened to be my retreat. And I had my retreat coming up. I had a couple of spots open, and then I had a spot open up that a scholarship was available for. And God literally brought people into my life to fill those spots. And inadvertently, through the back door, they came into my coaching programs. It's like, So realizing that he had me all along, and that everything that I know to be true that is working or that isn't working, if this is a plan that God has for you, He will find a way, friend. He will find a way to support you. He will find a way to encourage you. He will find a way to support your ability to keep going, if that makes any sense. And so, I don't know, like, this is probably, that feels like one of the messiest podcasts I've ever recorded, honestly. It just feels kind of, I don't know, because I'm probably just still in the middle of like, isn't this interesting, right? But in the middle of it, I feel like sometimes it's easier for us to be able to be vulnerable and real with people when we're kind of in the middle than when we have it all figured out, right? And I definitely have some things figured out that I didn't even a week ago, but I'm still processing it. I'm still learning about it. And I think that some of the things that I'm saying or talking about, go against like the things that I've done in the past or things that I teach. And I think that the biggest overarching lesson of all of this comes back to what I teach my clients inside of, the third module of my program, which is connectedness, which is learning how to connect with God, learning how to connect with your intuition, your higher power, learning to discern and be guided by source intelligence versus like what my logic and what my head and what everybody else is doing, and trusting my path and my journey. And when I think about it, the last couple of weeks that I've had, these realizations, and looking back over the last, several months that I've been in this process, I have been guided. I have been listening to Him. I have been listening to my higher power and my inner intuition and trusting it and discerning properly. And I feel like that's probably the one thing that has allowed for me to be able to learn all these lessons and come out successful at the end, to still have clients coming in, to still have amazing processes being birthed, to have all these things happen, is because I have learned to trust Him and to be guided one tiny step at a time. And sometimes we don't know where the heck we're going. We don't know what the overall purpose is. We don't know where He's leading us. We just know to trust one step at a time. I teach my clients this. Like, you imagine that you have little lamps on the toes of your shoes, and you're just being guided one step at a time. And that's exactly how I've been acting, behaving, trusting. And at times, obviously, like last week, I felt frustrated because I'm like, where the hell am I? Like, am I even close to the top of the mountain? Like, ugh. And then God is like, okay, Lachelle, like, you continue to trust me. Continue to trust me, and I will send you manna, right? Continue to trust me and look back, my sweet child, look back and see how much you've done and how far you've come and what you've been able, the hills and the valleys that you've tackled. Good job. You don't need to know how close we are to the summit. Just keep trusting me. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what I want to encourage you guys to do. All right. If you are somebody who's listening to this and you're like, I have no flipping clue how to trust myself, to trust my intuition, to hear God and to know that I heard Him correctly, and to be able to take one step at a time. Lachelle, I have no idea how to do that. I want you to go ahead and reach out to me. I want you to go ahead into the show notes and check out the Spiral Up program, because that is going to give you my framework. That's Prepared for Purpose framework that will teach you exactly how to do that. And I'm not promising that everything's going to be easy, because Lord knows, like, it's not. But it's in that journey, it's in that refinement that He makes you the most incredible version of yourself. And that's what I want you to do, is to learn how to trust yourself and to have the support around you that is going to help you when things get hard. All right, you guys, I hope that this was helpful. Thanks for putting up with my, I don't know, like less together episode. But I want you to know that you're not alone in this. Okay. All right. Happy beginning of school to all of my mamas out there, and our schedule and our routine is coming back soon, guys. So hang in there. Okay. Bye, everybody. So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity. Identify what's holding you back and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to im-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.